How did you know you were leaving? What were the circumstances?
Well, I got a call when Bananas started to get a little action, and people heard about it around the country, which was wonderful, just wonderful. And certainly that was our goal, to spread out. And I had worked, my first job in television was at WLS in Chicago, and I worked for a guy named Squire Rushnell. Well, Squire Rushnell now turned into Vice President of Children's Programming for ABC. And I get a call one day, what are you doing down there? What's this Bananas thing you're doing? They had started a show, they were into their first season of a show called Kids Are People Too, with Bob McAllister, who was the host who came from Wonderama in New York. And I went to New York with my tape, my 3/4-inch tapes under my hand, and I sat in a room with Marilyn Olin and Sandy Garton, I remember the names, and told them all about Bananas. And about, 10, 15 minutes in, I realized, I'm giving the shop away. What am I doing? I had never done, I had never been in that position before. I'm telling them everything. So when it was all done, Squire looked at me, or he called me, I forget how it went down, and said, we'd like you to come in and be an associate producer on the show, and we'd like to talk to Michael Young, because that's who I was showing the tape of. Well, I wasn't an associate producer, I was in charge at QUBE. So I wasn't going to do that, even if it was a network. Now, maybe that was stupid looking back on it, but I said no. And I thought, let me see if I can do it again. So I had to go to Michael. And I said to Michael, I think I got your job. I didn't know I got your job, and I got Michael, essentially. Kids are people too, without knowing it. So Michael leaves. Now I got to re-audition people. And I, was looking for the same thing, a Ken doll. I mean, that's really what Michael was, tight pants and, check shirt and boots. And we found Randy Hamilton, who, interestingly enough, was a singer on the Bob Bryan show years before, as Randy Widener. But anyway, and we did the show with Randy, and it was fine. I mean, it was nothing against Michael, but I never told anybody, I didn't show. I was really angry and hurt. Michael left. I'm in Columbus. He's on the network. I got him the job. I'm watching promos with a gun to my head, watching the network. But I never said anything. And now Michael starts taping this. We haven't seen the shows yet. And he's calling me up. He said, listen, I'm not happy. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, we did all these wonderful things on Bananas. We did all these serious segments, and we really cared about the kids. And it's just not working like that here. You got to come. I said, well, I can't come. I'm doing this. Well, we did that for whatever it was, another year. And then I got an offer from ABC to come and produce Kids Are People Too. And I did. And the irony of all this, and it's really crazy, is that Randy replaced Michael on Bananas. And then Randy replaced Michael on Kids Are People Too. So when Michael left, the network came to me and said, this is going to be tough, I know, but we got to replace Michael. I said, I mean, really, I think I can do that. I called Randy. I mean, it was just ridiculous, if you think about that progression. So leaving QUBE was a very difficult thing, mainly because of the Bananas kids, and that it was my first time to have a show and see if I could do it creatively and all that. And it was tough.
Talk about the kids. Because that's one thing you did right from the beginning.
Yeah.
You knew instinctively you had to have the kids in.
Well, the kids were there. I didn't know instinctively, although I appreciate that, but we had an audience. I knew we were going to work with it. We had to have an audience. That I know. And I knew that the show would be better, and I knew I could do a show better with an audience. And the kids were the audience. And we noticed that these same kids were showing up. There were about, 100 kids that would show up every day, but about 20 or 30 of them seemed to be the same. It took us, we weren't too bright. It took us a couple of weeks to realize these were the same kids, And we started to get mail. And the kids got mail. At first we didn't know what it was, because it would say, Jerry McLeod, Bananas, and or whatever, Linda Buckle, Banana. And then all of a sudden we realized, wait a minute, these are the kids that are at the show. So we started to open the letters and realized, well, it's not our mail, So we gave it to them, and we found out that the kids at home were kind of connecting to these Bananas kids, as we call them. So I came to you guys and asked if we could spend, a lot of money on T-shirts, and I'm sure there was a major meeting on that, and how do we do this? How do we get the money? How do we hide this money? And we got those yellow bananas T-shirts with the black logo. Put the kids in them. Then it became a huge deal. People were writing in for the T-shirts, and I should say, I have to say that we didn't have much money. I mean, because we were an afterthought. And there was Celebration, who had all this money, and we kind of became the show, out of that mall. And Celebration, sorry, Rob Weller, but he did fine for himself. Went away. So, I think we filled a void. I think is what we did. We gave these kids a place to come after school. We gave them a sense of importance. It made us feel important to know that we were doing them some good. And I mean, their parents would come down and have meetings with me, and I can't get Linda to do so-and-so. Would you talk to him? And I'm, sure. And I talk to him, and I get a call from the mother, well, Linda's doing her homework now, It's pretty simple. You can't come to Bananas, Linda, unless you do your homework, But they listened to us, and, they were amazing. So my exit was, I had to leave. We all had to leave, But it's hard for me to even talk to you now about those kids. I get all choked because they were really, really, really amazing kids. And silly as it sounds, I still keep in touch with a good 4 or 5, 2 or 3, something like that. Because it was an important time of our lives. Very important.